everyone, it's Sami from Sami's Sweet Life, and I'm filming Stella's 3-month update. I did first call her Olivia and have to re-say all of that. And she is turned around right now, which is good. She's looking at all the things in the playroom. I wanted to talk about her head. This is exactly like Olivia's 3-month update. She is going bald, so she's losing her hair, and she also is rubbing off the hair right there. She does tend to do the same soothing thing where they rub their head before they go night-night, and she's again like looking around. And I feel like Stella's not quite as where Olivia was at 3 months. Stella was underdone. She came out early, and then Olivia was 2 weeks overdue. So there's a big difference in their gestational age, and I think it has made a big difference. I don't think Stella is near where Olivia was at this point. She does not roll over at all. She can sort of get like onto her side, and that's about as far as she can get. Doesn't do all that great with tummy time yet. She still gets her head up a little bit, but she can't seem to like stay up steadily. She is really holding her head up now all the time. As you can see, I don't have to worry about her head at all, but she's really looking around right now, which is surprising. In Olivia's 3-month update, she was doing the same thing, like looking around at everything, getting really excited. So she's looking around. I'm going to try to turn her around. Also, I have her little elephant toy, so you might hear some jingling and noises. It's the toy. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about Stella's 3 months. She is 3 months old, and as far as clothing size, she is fitting into 6-month clothing, which is actually her right size. It's called 3 to 6 month clothing, so it's up to that 6-month mark. She is perfectly average as far as her measurements as of 2 months, but we haven't had her go back to the doctor, so I don't know what her measurements are now. She does go back for a 4-month checkup, so we'll know her measurements for her next month update. I did just quickly weigh her, and she weighs 14.8 pounds, so right about 15 pounds, which is good. She's right on track for her weight. She is a little bit over average on her weight, perfectly average on her height, and I think a little bit over on head size, which Olivia was always big on her head size too. She isn't quite as tall and lanky as Livy ended up being, and definitely putting on the pounds, which is great. I want my babies to be nice and chunky. She's starting to get those rolls, and I just love her cheeks and her little double chin. It's really, really cute on a baby, just not so cute on adults. And she's got the rolls, the little wrist rolls, the cankles. She's really getting roly-poly. And I feel like Olivia didn't start chunking out hardcore until 4 months. So Stella is chunking out a little bit sooner. And that could just be because I've breastfed before, and so my milk knows what it's doing a lot better this time. And also because she likes to nurse. She does not take a pacifier. I don't know what age Livy started using a passy, but she was really hooked on it. Stella so far has not liked it, and we haven't really been introducing it all that much, because she hasn't seemed to really need it. She's not super fussy. We started trying to introduce it early on because she was fussy a little bit here and there. She just gets kind of fussy around sleep time. Definitely at night is her fussiest time, like the 45 minutes to an hour before bed. She can get really fussy, and we really try to have her go to bed about the same time every night, but if she is tired, she goes to bed a little earlier. It's always somewhere between 7 and 8. Usually closer to 8, and then she wakes up around 7 to 8. So it's normally a full like 12 hours-ish time with a few wake-ups in between. And lately her wake-ups have only been, trying to turn her around. Lately her wake-ups have only been wake up, get a diaper change if needed, and nurse and go back to sleep. And it's been really nice having it done like that. And it's the same thing I just talked about in the 2-month update. She really has a nice long stretch at the start of the night, and then has 2 shorter stretches usually. Sometimes 1 shorter stretch, but most of the time it's 2. Usually she's waking up twice at night. Now she's looking at other things over there. She does end up liking to be on her feet, so I'm just kind of holding her up as she likes it, and then she'll sit back down hopefully at some point. Can you see yourself? She loves looking at herself. Oh, I think she might see herself. Who's that? Who is that? Is that you? Is that Stella baby? That's a Stella baby. Yeah. We'll see if we can sit her down and let her play with her little elephant. She is grabbing for things more, and she's starting to get things in her mouth a little bit more. She, for the most part, can't do much. She just observes, and she's fully smiley baby now. She smiles a lot, coos a lot, and I just talked about her not being fussy, and now she's fussing. She did not want me to sit her down. She's got clear preferences for things like that. Yeah, you just want to see? Okay, we'll see how this goes. So I do have a list on my phone. I'm not sure I can really grab it while she is up and active. Let's see if I can pull it up, and then we can sit together. Okay, Oh, I didn't talk about her 2-month shots because they actually came right after her 2-month. So I wanted to save it for this video. It was an ordeal. She ended up needing the Rhoda, and that's an oral vaccine, so they just drink a little thing. That was terrible, and so she ended up with that and 1 shot. There are 3 shots and the oral vaccine at her 2-month. We split them up. I am totally pro-vaccine. I definitely fully believe in the science behind vaccines, and my kids are fully vaccinated, but I don't vaccinate them all at once. We do kind of a semi-delayed schedule. We only do up to 2 shots at a time. So I asked the doctor which ones are crucial right now, and we'll do the other ones in a little while. So we got her Rhoda, which is the oral vaccine, and 1 other shot. And then we went back a different day and got the 2 other shots. So we did 2 rounds of shots this last month. And the reason I split it up is just, it's a lot of stuff for baby. It's a lot of discomfort for them just getting the shot, physically getting the shot. And it's a lot for their bodies to build up immunities too. And most of the shots are combination shots. I really like splitting it up. I did that same thing with Olivia. It was like an amended, delayed schedule, and the doctors are always really up for that. So I just asked which 2 are the most critical ones that you would pick for now, and then we did the other 2 afterwards. So I definitely am still pro-vaccine. I just don't want them having all the stuff all at once. It's just a lot for tiny little bodies. So we ended up with the Rhoda and the first shot, and it was horrible. She ended up coming in and saying the oral vaccine was cold. Like she said, it's really cold. Most of the babies like shiver or something and get a little upset about it. But Stella took the first little bit and spit it directly out and like stopped breathing for a second. She sucked it in, stopped breathing for a second, and spit it out immediately and started breathing again. Okay, so we're like, oh, okay, there's plenty in the little tube, so it's okay if they spit some of it out. So we tried again the second time, and this time she stopped breathing for a second, and I had to like shake her around. Oh, you laughing? I had to kind of like shake her and get her to breathe again. And then we're like, okay, she made it through, she's fine. She, you know, got some of that in her saliva. She is looking at herself. And then we try like the 3rd time, and again the same thing. Stopped breathing, did not start breathing again for quite a bit, and then spits all of it out, of course. And then like we're doing this multiple times because you're just doing a teeny tiny bit at a time. She ends up choking on it. She ends up stop breathing a few times. I have to like tap her on the back to get her to breathe again, and eventually she projectile vomits everywhere after stopping breathing. So she's like choking on it, turning blue, and we're trying to get her back to breathe, and she vomits everywhere, like all over everything, and it's like 2 giant projectile vomits. It's just like forcefully coming out of her at that point. Can you see yourself? And it was horrible, absolutely horrible. As she's like coughing, and I'm like tapping her on the back upside down, you know, flipping her over so she can get all of everything out. The doctor checks her and makes sure that everything is okay with her. We're gonna try something different. Go. She's just chewing on the wipe. It's just a burp cloth. So that was horrible. The doctor came back in and he said, I've never had this happen before. Let's check the literature and I'll call you back to whether or not she needs another dose because they take another dose at 4 months. But he's like, I don't know if she got anything after she, you know, coughed, choked, spit up everywhere, and he made sure she was okay, you know, because it was like really a lot and really traumatic for everybody, and the nurse had never seen it before. And then we ended up doing the leg shot, and it was also traumatic. Of course, at the time they scream because it's painful and they don't know what's going on. That afternoon, she just was inconsolable, just started screaming bloody murder after her nap. She napped for a little while, not even like a super long nap, and woke up screaming and cried, like nonstop screaming cry for like 2 hours, and it was just so stressful. After like about 20 minutes where I could not console her, I called the nurse line and I was like, okay, what do I do? Can I give her anything? Do I need to bring her back in? Because her leg was swollen right around the injection site. Her leg was pink and swollen, and she was just screaming. She was in pain, so they gave me the proper Tylenol dosage for her, and they also said, since it's swelling, put hydrocortisone cream on to help with the swelling. So I did both of those, and she ended up being okay after a while, but it took a really long time. It felt like forever, and she was just not a happy baby. And then after like that 2-hour thing, she was okay. With shots, Olivia always slept for a really long time. Stella did not. The next couple of days, even with giving her Tylenol as needed, she was still just a fussy butt, and it was just a couple of really, really rough days. I think one of the days she didn't sleep very well, but I don't know if it had anything to do with the shots itself. But it was really, really rough. After that, we had to go back for round 2 of 2 shots. And this time we knew what to do. The nurse gave me a sample Tylenol. We gave it to her right there. Then she was much better the second round of shots. But the second round of shots, she did have sleep problems. And then I was super duper miserable for a couple of days dealing with her being extra fussy, not sleeping well. It was just really not fun going through the shots. And at least we knew to give her Tylenol. Like the first time with her screaming, it was the most screamy, painful sounding thing that she's ever done, and I was just hysterical, like calling the line with her screaming and crying. I didn't know what to do. Like I panicked in that moment, and thankfully they knew exactly what to do, because it's kind of common that they don't know what's going on with their body. They freak out a little bit, and I freaked out, and I was like a new mom calling them like, what do I do? I'm freaking out, because Livy never had that kind of reaction to it. She would cry like as she got the shot, and then she would just sleep extra. And so it was really nice when Livy got shots, because for the couple of days afterwards, she just slept really good and seemed fine. Like didn't have any kind of real fussiness like this. She's just been kind of a bear with shots, and I definitely think she's just kind of whinier overall. I don't think she full out cries. She doesn't have like a lot of crying time. She's just still just kind of like whiny when she gets upset, and she'll cry some, but not to the level I think a lot of babies cry. So anyway, those last 2 days of getting shots, it was right before Christmas season, and Johnny surprised me with a MacBook Pro. I was super frustrated because editing videos after having her has been just almost impossible because it takes so long with my old computer. And so I was getting really frustrated, and he had planned on getting me the MacBook Pro anyway for Christmas, but after having those like really tough days, he just surprised me with it, and it was just so sweet. I already posted videos about it, so I just was so thankful he did that, because now I can actually edit the videos that I film. Like I can edit the video the same day and get it edited within like an hour or two, whereas before it's like taking me a whole week to edit one video. She's making me out to be a liar. I swear she's a sweet happy baby, but she's being grouchy. So I'm gonna feed her and come back, and we'll try to wrap up this video. She is not tolerating this at all today. Now she's down for a nap, and I'm gonna try to finish the rest of this video. So it's actually a little while later and the lighting's different, so we're just gonna work with it always. So I was talking about her fussy shot time. It ended up being really bad timing, because there is a Wonder Week there. It's a developmental leap that happens, and there's multiples of these throughout the time, and she was super duper fussy there for about a week around the shots, and her sleep was a little bit different. And I looked at the Wonder Weeks app. I finally just looked at it, and that first developmental leap was right spot on during her fussy time. So I think it had to do with the Wonder Week, the developmental things, and also the shots. So it was all just right at once, and it was really tough. Like during that week, I thought, oh my gosh, maybe I am developing postpartum depression, because I was just so down in the dumps, run down. It was my baby being super fussy and having to deal with that. It was also just not getting enough sleep, and I think that's really what it came down to, because once she started being much better, I was much better. I was just starting to film again since Stella went down for her nap and Johnny called. So I talked to him for a while. The lighting again is shifting a little bit. Stella is full on smiling. She's starting to giggle just a little bit, but not quite like full-on laughs. So her giggles are just cute and little, and she's just getting more personality every day. I just love when they're just like roly, cuddly babies, and they're out of that newborn stage, and she's mostly out of it. So I'm really enjoying that part of it. Lately, she's really enjoying being on the play mat, and I'll just like kind of lay next to her and talk to her while she's playing, or she'll just sit there and play by herself, and she can do that for quite a while now. She starts to try to get her legs rolling, but she's not rolling at all, like I've already said. I think I already said this earlier, but she wears 6-month clothes now. We just totally got out of the 0 to 3 month clothes, and she just moved into size 3 diapers. We are using up the last of our size 2s. So as far as her sleep, she's been a really good sleeper, I feel like. Especially lately, we've gotten into a groove where she'll let us know that she's ready for bed, and she'll get fussy and start yawning, and her eyes look like she's tired. She'll like glaze over, and she just is ready for bed. And so at that point in time, we get ready for bed. Our routine's really simple and easy. We turn on the white noise, I change her diaper, put her in her pajamas, and then nurse her, and she goes right to sleep. Like she'll pop off when she's done and look up at me. I'll put her down in her pack and play, and she'll just close her eyes and turn her head over. So she totally knows the routine, and she goes right to sleep. And it's been really nice and easy. There is been a couple of nights she doesn't go straight down to sleep. It was 3 days right before her 3-month birthday where she just did not want to go to sleep. She was tired and did the whole normal thing. We get down to the nursing and I put her down and she cries. So I get her back up, walk her around, do the pacing thing, eventually just let her cry for a couple of minutes. And after so many rounds of me, sitting her down, trying to let her soothe herself, picking her back up, walking around with her pacing, all the things, she eventually goes to sleep. And sometimes it took just like 10 minutes or so. Sometimes it was like 30 minutes or so. And those are the first whiffs of that going on. So usually it's been really smooth. And since then it's also been really smooth. So it's just, I don't know what was up those couple of nights, but she was just not having it. And since then it's been really great. For the most part, she's really good. She'll let me know when she's tired. And so we just do naps on her schedule. And right now there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. She tends to have mostly just cat naps up to about 50 minutes. I think her shortest nap is about 45 minutes and it can go up to like 2.5 hours, and I don't let it go past 2.5 hours anymore. She sleeps so good at night and gets so many hours at night. I don't want her messing that up with too much daytime sleep. And so far it's been working. Most of the time her long nap is 2 hours now, so I don't have to wake her up at all. There was one horrible night recently, and this hardly ever has happened. Generally speaking, I nurse her in the middle of the night, change her diaper as needed, and put her down, and she goes back to sleep. And there was this one rough night where she was up for 2.5 hours. Like, she was not going back to sleep. I tried everything. We sat in the bed and I just held her for a while. She was fussy during the whole time. She just could not get back to sleep and was not ready to sleep. And it was just the worst. The next day I was a complete zombie. And luckily after that, everything went back to normal. So I don't know what was up with her that one really bad stretch during the night. Overall, she's really starting to get out of the newborn stage, but at this point she is much more newborn-like than Olivia was. I feel like by like 7 or 8 weeks, Olivia was totally out of that newborn stage, and Stella is still very much a newborn, not doing a whole lot of tummy time. Like, she can hold her head up a little bit, but it's like short bursts of tummy time. She's not rolling over at all. She just started laughing, and I feel like Livy like started smiling and laughing in like the first month or so, and she's just totally, we're in a totally different ball game. I feel like Olivia was really advanced in a lot of things and Stella is right on average. So it's definitely a different experience having more of a newborn for this long. Overall, like, it being my second kid and being the more difficult kid is really good because I already kind of know what to expect. I already have been through this. So I feel like I have a better grasp on things. If this had been my first kid, it would have been a lot harder of an experience. But since it's the second one, I just am more rolling with it. And that's not to say we don't have rough days, because we definitely do. Every once in a while, I just have a bad day. And sometimes it's because I didn't get enough sleep. Sometimes it's because she's super cranky that day. Sometimes it's just totally me. So it just really depends on the day. And I feel like this time has been much more emotional roller coastery than the first time around, which is really bizarre to say. I think the first time around, my mood was really stable in these first few months, and I got my period back the first month, and it's been really inconsistent. So I think my hormones are really all over the place. I think that's what's also causing some of the bad days, is I'm just like really moody and really hormonal some of the time. I'm not on a regular period schedule right now, so my moods just go up and down, and I keep going back to like looking at the postpartum depression list, looking at the postpartum anxiety list, and I don't have those markers. So I don't think I have either one of those, but sometimes I question it. Like, sometimes I'm having a bad day and I'm like, okay, is this me having postpartum depression? And I don't think it is. I think it's just me being a little bit extra hormonal some days. And also sleep really affects me. So if I don't have good sleep, the next day I'm really in a bad mood. So I think that's part of it as well. It's just some days I'm like, ugh, today sucks. That's pretty much the extent of it. And I feel like with my first one, I was just on such a high that this time, where I'm more like mellow and sometimes having downs, that it's just not what I expected, I guess. It's a little bit different. I feel like I'm not bouncing back as quick in all ways. Postpartum, I'm much bigger than I was. I'll show you guys. I have not bounced back. I still have so much flabby and saggy skin. I need to start working on abs. I'm still on the road to recovery too. Like, if I do too much, I still am really sore around my incision and in my inner parts. So it's just, I don't know if it has to do with it just being the second time around, or it has to do with now I'm over 30. The first time I wasn't. But with that said, I'm giving myself until 6 months before I'm going to try to start doing any kind of working out. Right now we just take walks as the weather permits, and that's it. But even then, like some walks, if we're going too long or I'm doing too much uphill, I really feel it, especially the next day. I'm super sore. So, and not just like my regular muscles, like my whole abdomen region and pelvic region is sore. So the last two things on my list are kind of random and weird. I think she has a bean sensitivity, and it's just the weirdest thing. I had pinto beans and she had really bad problems and time with that. And then I've had white beans a couple of times and she just does not do well. She spits up a ton more than normal, has actual like, looks like throw up amounts, and also super fussy those days. So I'm avoiding beans now. That's the only thing I found that has shown some sort of problem with her. And I don't know what it is about the beans. Sometimes foods just cause extra gas and things in babies, and it just depends on the baby, depends on the foods. I am officially avoiding beans now after a couple of rough experiences with beans. And I've had dairy, and I don't think she's had any sort of problems with dairy. Other than the bean issue, breastfeeding is going great. She's just getting more efficient at it. So we don't nurse as long per session, and we also don't nurse as often. She just is getting way more efficient, and she's not spitting up nearly as much. I really noticed this last week. If she spits, like I can tell she burped and it's like a gurgly burp, she swallows, so she can swallow it back down some of the time, which is awesome. Like, I'm not changing outfits 500 times a day, and she's not needing outfit changes 500 times a day. But I'll tell you, we've been on this slope where things are getting better and better with the spitting, and then I have beans and it's just like starting completely over or worse. So the days I had beans, we were changing outfits like 5 or 6 or 7 times a day, and it was really bad. She still spits up, but it's mostly like a little drop here and there, and I've been better about, like, right after she eats, I put a burp cloth right under her, so she just spits up into the burp cloth, and it's been a lot nicer. There's still days I get spit up on me and have to change a few times. It's just improving. And with the breastfeeding, it's going really well. I really want to make it to 6 months. And I hope to make it to 12 months, and I even hope to make it all the way to 2 years. With Livy, I made it to 18 months and she's self-weaned. So whatever Stella wants to do, we'll do, and hopefully my supply can keep up. And that's another reason why I don't want to get hardcore into the exercising, because I don't want anything I do to affect my supply. So I'm just gonna, you know, take it easy, do the walks, and then at 6 months I can start working out a little bit. So I think that's it. I've been hearing noises and I thought it was her, but it's actually dogs. There are dogs like howling outside, so hopefully that's not too distracting for you guys. I will show you guys my postpartum belly because it's rough, guys. It's way worse than last time. And also with this, I go in and out of being bloated, so I know like my period's really trying to get back on track, but it's just not there yet. So here it is. I'm just still like, this is all just flab. You can see like I can pinch, like it's all skin and flab, this whole front thing. And me doing that, all of this is really tender, like all of this area up to like my belly button. This whole strip is really tender. My incision is right about here. And so that all is really tender to the touch, but this all feels like numb and almost tingly sensation. It's just a really not pleasant feeling. It doesn't hurt necessarily. There you go, like it's still big and I'm not doing anything about it right now. I want to show you guys some of it. I've got major stretch marks. Most of those are from when Livy was born, and they're still there. I think I got like a little bit more pink on the ends of some of these. You can see how like saggy that is. It's just so not pleasant to carry around. This whole thing is just saggy, flabby, droopy, and it's really bad. It's a total mom pooch, and I know it'll get better over time, but I don't know that it's going to get all the way better at this point. I think this is just, part of this is going to stay, and I'm kind of disappointed about that, but I did make 2 babies with this body, so it is what it is. Okay, now I did really hear her. So I thought that, you know, over time, especially once I'm past breastfeeding, over time, if I can get fit and I'm still having too much saggy belly, I will look into tummy tucks and mommy makeovers and that type of thing. But for right now, I'm not even close to looking at that. So I'm just gonna try to work on some abs, build my muscles up, get fit again. I'm still easily 20 pounds overweight. I don't even get on the scale much anymore because it's just sad. But I think the last one was like 185. So I'm not losing anything right now. I'm just holding on to that whole big donut right there. Every once in a while I'm like, ugh, it looks so bad, my stomach looks terrible, and then overall I'm just like, ugh, I don't care. Like, there's so many other things going on right now. It's just the lowest priority right now to try to get fit or get in shape or anything. Over time it'll come, so I'm just gonna give myself grace for a while and first off, enjoy eating, because I really couldn't enjoy eating very much my whole pregnancy with her. So when I want something, I eat it now, and I just don't have a huge appetite, which I'm surprised. With Olivia, I had a giant appetite, and this time it comes in waves. Like, one day I'm ravenous and I want to eat everything in sight, and most days I just stick to my like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and maybe a snack. So I think that's it for this video. I will leave my playlist for the monthly updates for Stella and also for Livy. I did 12 months of updates for Livy as well. So I'll leave those playlists down below. I've got to go get my little baby. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.